It's been a busy last few weeks. You know, when I made the announcement that I was leaving the Democrat Party, I gotta be honest with you. I talked to my husband, I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna care. Because I've been calling it straight on Democrat leaders for a long time. And so as I've been traveling across the country, it was kind of unexpected. All I did was pack a carry-on when I left home on October 11th. But then my phone started ringing off the hook as other candidates, people running for office in many states from the West Coast to the East Coast and the Midwest, North and South, asking if I would come and help support their efforts. Thank you. You guys are great. And I was really happy to be able to be on the road and get out and help so many great Americans because of what is at stake in this election. The reason why all of you are spending the most precious commodity that you have, your time, to be here tonight. Just like you, I love this great country. And just like you, I am deeply, deeply concerned for our future. I have never been more concerned about our future than I am now. Because in so many ways we see how those in power are abusing their power and seeking to undermine our God-given rights that are enshrined in the Constitution every chance they get. And this was what was at the heart of why I had to leave the Democratic Party, is because how can I, as a soldier and a veteran and a former member of Congress who took an oath, I made a promise to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And unlike too many politicians in Washington, that actually means something to me. Those words are seared in my heart, and it's a promise that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. It's why even as I hold no office right now, I have no position or title in society, I am doing my very best to fight for our freedoms because they are under attack by people from within this country. And that's why this election is so important. You know, I've been going and supporting people who are running for Congress and running for the U.S. Senate because having this radical woke Democrat Party in charge of the House, Senate, and the White House has put us in a very dangerous place as a country. But the decision that you have before you now here in a few days and who you choose to lead you as your governor matters greatly for the challenges that you're facing here all across New York, but it matters to the country. Because as we've seen over the last couple of years, who are the people who are in a position to be a check on the mandates that are coming from the federal government to the state? It's the governor. It's the governor. And we've seen how different decisions that governors have made across the country have impacted people right here at home. You've seen here in New York how you've had a governor who's been a rubber stamp on whatever the CDC says, whatever the Biden administration says, whatever Fauci says, rather than doing her job and upholding the Constitution, protecting your individual rights and freedoms, and saying no to the federal government, back off. It takes courage. It takes courage, and we need courageous leaders right now. Because we have people in charge of the federal government who are willing to abuse their power and leverage whatever they need to in order to force their agenda, their radical agenda on us. And one of the dirtiest tricks they play is they tell governors, if you don't do what we say, we're not going to give you money. Your money. Your money. Exactly. You should have it back. And when you have weak people in charge, I won't even call them leaders because they're not leaders. When you have weak people in charge who cower in fear at the federal government, who suffers? Not Kathy Hochul. The people. We, the people. That's what's at stake in this election. I have been so concerned over the last 2 years. In some ways it's gone by quickly, but in other ways it's gone by slowly, because over that short period of time we've seen a destruction of our individual rights in so many ways, and we've seen threats to our kids in schools, to education, to parental rights, to our freedom of speech, where this administration is working with big tech to silence and censor any one of us who dares to dissent. We see how they implement policies like the Ministry of Truth, or as they call it, the Disinformation Governance Board, a fancy title that basically says, hey, you know what? We in the federal government know what's best for you better than you do. We think you are too stupid to think for yourselves, and so we're going to tell you what is true and what is not. We're going to tell you what is information versus disinformation. We're going to tell you what you're allowed to see or hear or say. That is what they did. How is this the United States of America? This is what is so is not only do they not believe in freedom, they hate it. They say speech is violence, and they get to say what speech is allowed. Not no more, because we will not allow them to continue this way. You know, it's kind of ironic, and I was asked this by Chris Cuomo, actually. I did an interview on his show a few weeks ago. And what was funny to me, it was interesting. What was funny to me was he said, Tulsi, you know, these Democrats say that everything they're doing is to defend democracy. It's to defend freedom. If you listen to Joe Biden's speech the other day, he said, democracy is on the line. Democracy is on the ballot. My response to Chris Cuomo was, that's funny, because every single thing they're doing is undermining our democracy. They are taking our freedoms away in the name of standing up for freedom. This would be funny if the consequences weren't so real. This is not empty rhetoric. This is not hyperbole. This is what is playing out every single day in this country, which is why electing strong leaders like Lee Zeldin and Allison Esposito matters so much. Our founders had such a beautiful vision for the potential of this great country. They understood the danger of a tyrannical government. They understood the potential for abuse of power by any one person, which is why as they crafted that powerful document, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, they did so very intentionally to ensure there were checks and balances so that we could protect ourselves, we the people could protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. The federal government has overstepped its boundaries, seeking to control and impact every part of our lives. Our founders envisioned this representative government with governors leading and deciding states, being empowered to make those decisions because they are here listening to you and interacting with you, as you've seen Lee and Allison do. With the federal government's powers being limited to that of the Constitution. We have 2 years left of this administration. I know. Where's that time travel when we need it? We have 2 years left, so what do? Our founders said, we the people. We the people. It is within our power, and I challenge you to remember that it is actually our responsibility. It's our responsibility not only for ourselves and our loved ones, but if we care about the kind of future we're going to leave behind for our kids, You can't stay home. I'm standing before you, not as a Democrat or a Republican, but as an American. I heard you. I stand before you as a fellow American, and this is the message I want to ask you to share with those in your life over these next few days. Because if you hear anything on the news right now, if you see the attack ads on television and you hear the rhetoric going back and forth, all you hear from a lot of these Democrats who are running for office is how terrible Lee and Allison are, rather than standing on their principles and the things that they believe in and that they want to do for you. It's because there's nothing there. So as you go and talk to people who may be Democrats and are saying, well, I don't know if I can vote for a Republican. My family's been Democrats for a long time, or, I don't know enough about Lee to know if I want to vote for him. There are people in your lives who trust you, and they respect you. You and only you can help influence and inform them about the right choice for New York and the right choice for this country. Don't underestimate the power that you have in your hands. So as you look at who you're friends with on Facebook, or who's in your cell phone, or maybe people you haven't talked to for a long time, people from work or church or whatever, take that time over these next few days. I know early voting ends at the end of the day tomorrow. You've got Tuesday. Take that time to really think about who you can have a heart-to-heart conversation with. Because every single vote counts. And if we want to have this free and bright future for generations to come, we are the only ones who can make that happen. Yes, we hold our leaders accountable. What happens on election day is really just the first round. The real work begins after that, and I can tell you Lee and Allison are going to need you every step of the way to bring about the kind of change that you need to see here in New York. It's easy to feel discouraged and helpless in the face of the power of big tech, social media, big corporate media, big government. But we need to always remember, and this is where I find hope, is in every single one of you. Their power is only as great as we allow it to be. The power really lies in our hands. And it lies in who we choose to lead and serve us, we the people in our government. And it also lies in where we choose to give our attention, where we choose to give our time. But the choice is ours. Our freedom is on the line. Our future is on the line. It's going to take every single one of us to stand up and continue to fight to protect and save this country, to save your state, and to protect and defend these freedoms we hold dear.